Hey everyone, welcome back to Let's Talk. I am your host, John, and today here on the channel, we're going to be talking about 1981's Thief and its brand new Criterion 4K Blu-ray that just came out. But as always, guys, I always like to give a quick film review, and today is no different. So if you don't want to know anything about the film Thief and you're just here for that 4K Blu-ray review, please make sure you guys skip ahead to that right now. So Heat from 1995 is not the only Michael Mann heist film that he's ever directed. In fact, he actually directed another heist film that actually was the same exact story to Heat, a TV movie that came out before this movie even came out, Thief, in 1981. So Michael Mann knows how to make some really good heist films, some really good action films, and Thief is no different. Arguably, this film's quality is almost as good as Heat. Maybe it doesn't have the same amount of money behind it as Heat, but it's also a fantastic character study in the character of Frank, played by James Caan in this film, in James Caan's best performance. I know people might argue that Sonny from the Godfather film is his best performance. Some people might even argue his best performance is the film Elf. But I will always argue that this film right here, as Frank, is his best performance because it's a very layered character, a character that's very hard to understand, a character that's very hard to appreciate as the person, because this is the kind of life that most of us do not have any desire to live. This guy is always wound up, he's always angry. This movie starts off with Tangerine Dream's score playing. We see Frank, he's just, going to do a job. We don't hear any dialogue, we just know what he's doing. He is the best safe cracker out there, so he's a very coveted item by a lot of different people. But he lives by his own code. He doesn't want to get involved with anybody. He doesn't want to be a worker for anybody. He just wants to do his thing, take his share of the cut, and that's it, leave. Not play nice with the rest of these villains in this movie. Nope, he's just a regular guy who wants to live his life, but unfortunately, because he did go to prison for 11 years, he feels like he lost time, and now he has to cut the corners of life to give him the life that he believes he deserves. Of course, that never works out. You have to do the right thing. No matter how many corners you try to cut, that could lead to a lot of bad things. And of course, because Frank is just never willing to play ball, it leads to even worse things for him. Because after he completes that first job, a lot of people want to meet him, including Leo, played by Robert Prosky in this movie, which is also his debut film. He has an uncredited role in one movie before this, but Robert Prosky, you recognize that face. He's one of those guys. He gives a phenomenal performance as Leo, the big boss. The guy setting up all the heists. He tells Frank, hey, listen, you don't got to do any of the work, all the legwork. I just tell you where to go, you do the work, and then you get your cut of the money. That sounds good enough to Frank, but Frank wants to, again, get out. He wants to retire. He's just met Tuesday Wells' character, and he feels like they have some sort of connection. But what happens on their first date? This is what I mean. Tuesday Wells' character, you gotta have a little bit of backbone. I know they try to add some backstory to her to make this more understanding, but my God, James Caan is always just so wound up, and he's 2 hours late to their first date. He just kind of grabs her, drags her out of the bar, puts her in the car, and he's just telling her about his life. What do you think I do? I'm a thief, just laying it out for her, what he is. You don't understand what it is I do. And then he's like, all right, come on, let's get on with this big romance. Just being so assertive and so aggressive, that would turn most women off. But I guess Tuesday Wells' character, she's attracted to this. She's attracted to a man who knows exactly what he wants. He's got this nice collage in his pocket, looks like a kindergartner made it. We'll say, this guy was in prison for a while. He probably made this during arts and crafts time, and he really wants to live the life he feels like he deserves. And Tuesday Weld is a big part of that. He's got to have the wife, he's got to eventually have the family, he's got to have the kid, and he feels like she's going to be the girl for him. So he just pretty much, I guess schmoozes her into marrying him so quick, again, because we got to cut all these corners. They can't have kids, so they're going to adopt a kid. Leo helps him out with this. Leo gets him a kid. He's like, yeah, I can get you a kid. No problem. He just buys him a kid. He's like, what color kid do you want? Meanwhile, when they're trying to go through the actual system of adopting a kid because he's a felon, they just won't do it. They won't give it to him because they look at him as a shady character. This is kind of sad because you don't actually do know James Caan's character. If he did go to prison, doesn't that mean he paid his debt to society? And you should be a little bit more understanding of that, a little bit more compassionate of that, have a little bit more empathy for that. And, of course, James Caan, that's probably the right choice to make by that woman because he is a hothead, and obviously, knowing how this movie ends up, probably was the right decision to not give him a kid. Of course, he does get the kid, he gets the family, everything seems like it's working out well. They do one great job. This scene is fantastic. This is actually how we see the heist getting set up. We see Jim Belushi in his first movie ever. That's his partner. We see his other buddy setting up the welder, I guess, or the laser or something. The way they're going to be cutting into the safe for the big job in this movie. We see all the pieces moving. We see the cops want a piece of whatever James Caan's doing. These very Chicago cops. This movie is a very, very, very Chicago film. All the other people in this movie They just look like they're from Chicago. That great attention to detail is awesome. Jim Belushi, obviously being from Chicago himself. You also get the first ever appearance of Dennis Farina, who would be a frequent collaborator with Michael Mann. At this time, he was still a Chicago police officer. And he looks so, you know it's Dennis Farina, but he's got a lot more hair on his head. This movie is a very hairy movie, actually. James Caan spends a lot of this movie with his shirt off, and, you know, he's a very hairy guy, so it looks like he has so he has his man shirt on the entire time, and he's got his shirt off a lot in this film. Not the very stereotypical muscular body of the 1980s, although this film does feel like kind of a hangover from the 1970s, just in the way it looks. But of course, it just kind of makes this movie feel so unique and so different because it's got all those like blues and grays in there. It just works so well for this film. And that Tangerine score, that synthesizer heavy score, just ties this movie all together. Just really makes that neo-noir tone work so well, so atmospheric with this film. The opening credits playing with that first heist job is absolutely perfect. We learn everything we need to know about James Caan and what he does from that opening job. And then, of course, as the movie's going on, and of course, now we're up to the point where he's finished his most recent heist job. He thinks he's getting out. He goes to Leo to collect his money. Leo gives him 70 or 90 grand, and he's like, you know, I invested the rest, like we talked about. Frank never wanted to do that. Frank thought this was going to be it. He's getting out. He's taking his 800 plus grand. He's got the house. He's got the kid. He's got the wife. He's got his best friend, Jim Belushi. And he's out. That's it. He's got the life he wants to live. He's 35 years old, looking 45, and he's going to move on from this. But Leo's like, no, that's not how this works. You got to play ball, buddy. I thought you'd come around to this. You know, this is basically a job for you now. I'm your boss. You work for me. I tell you where to go, and that's what you're going to do. And he walks out, and he thinks, okay, fuck it. I'm getting my money, and I'm done. I told him what I want. Well, that's not how things work. They show up, kill Jim Belushi, kidnap him, and this is a very scary scene where Leo lays it out for him like, hey, you're gonna do this, and that is that. And because Frank is who he is, Frank just says, nope, fuck that. He sends Tuesday Ward on her way because he follows his own code, and that's it. He's like, you and the kid, you go. Here's 110 grand. I'm not coming with you. Just lays it out like that. Tells her to get out because he's just so cold. He might be warm in the center, but you're gonna have to dig really hard to get to that warm center of James Caan's character. Sends her on her way, and then he's going for revenge. He goes to Leo's house, takes out one of his bodyguards, and then, of course, as he kills Leo, I love how the score kicks in. He goes outside. This is where we see Dennis Farina get killed. At one point, he finishes the clip in his gun, and then one of the coolest things, he changes the clip in slow motion. Just a badass shot. A bunch of nice, cool slow motion clips in this movie. Very much of the 1980s, even though the film does kind of feel like it's left over from the 1970s. It kind of is a predecessor to like those great 1980s Michael Mann films like Manhunter or even Miami Vice. You could see all of the moving pieces that would eventually become Miami Vice and Manhunter in this film. And of course, Heat. And James Caan takes a bullet in this melee, and then that's it. He just kind of sombers off. We figure that he's going to probably drop dead in a little while, and that's just the way she goes. And it's a great way to end this movie. Again, that Tangerine score playing throughout this entire big final shootout just on the front lawn. You know that the neighbors are going to probably call the cops, but it's just such a badass way to end this film. And Thief is just overall a fantastic film that I absolutely love. It's tough to rank it in Michael Mann's filmography because Michael Mann does have so many great films, and my favorite will always be Heat, and then Collateral's probably right behind it. But this does compete with Manhunter as my third favorite film from him. And so right now I'd probably go number 1 Heat, number 2 Collateral, number 3 I'm gonna go with Thief, and number 4 I'll go with Manhunter. So Michael Mann has so many great films, still making films to this very day. He had Ferrari come out a couple of years ago, but it's very hard to match those movies that he came out with in the 1980s and the 1990s, and especially those heist films. He's one of the greatest heist film directors of all time, and if you haven't seen Thief, I can highly recommend this movie. And you know what? Maybe you want to check out this brand new Criterion 4K Blu-ray that we're going to talk about right now.
James Caan, Thief.
So here it is, Thief on 4K Blu-ray. It looks exactly the same as my Thief Blu-ray that I have that it'll be replacing. Only upgrade that you're going to be getting to this is actually the upgrade to 4K Blu-ray, so you're going to be getting Dolby Vision and HDR10 layered over the exact same movie that was there back in 2014. I believe that Blu-ray was released, which means, of course, all of the extras are exactly the same, which is a couple of interviews. One of them was with Michael Mann, one of them was with James Caan, so you appreciate that, but they are 2013 interviews, so they're nothing new, and there's only 4 extras in total, so that is very disappointing, and they're going to be on that Blu-ray disc, not on your 4K Blu-ray disc, and that Blu-ray disc is the exact same Blu-ray disc that it was released back in the day, so the only upgrade is on that 4K Blu-ray disc, and that's only to the visuals, so this might disappoint some people. But I am such a huge Thief fan, and I always thought that Thief would lend itself so well to the 4K Blu-ray format that I had to upgrade because I thought this movie was going to look astonishing on 4K Blu-ray, and it almost gets there. It almost gets there, but I am getting a little bit ahead of myself. Those extras, like I said, are pretty decent. Another minor complaint I have, and this is just something that Criterion always does, is when they do upgrade to 4K Blu-ray, they don't change the artwork around at all, and that's a little bit disappointing because I did feel like Thief kind of had very bland artwork, especially on the side here. I just thought it looked, I get what they're going for, but it just doesn't necessarily work for me, and that kind of does disappoint me. I think the side's supposed to look like where they go visit Willie Nelson's character in jail, like the way the prison looks. It's a very unique prison, like that metal. I think that's kind of like what they're going for on the side, or to look like a safe, but it just doesn't necessarily work for me. It looks very like Photoshopped, like, and not in a good way, so I was kind of hoping they would upgrade the box art design here, but of course, I mean, that was kind of asking a lot, and that's not really Criterion's MO. If they release something with a certain box art design, that's going to follow it around forever. So it's a little bit disappointing. It's the same thing with the audio. It's got the same DTS HD Master Audio 5.1, which is really good, but a movie like this, it would have been cool to see this in a Dolby Atmos track. I imagine if another studio did this, they might upgrade that audio, but it's just not something that Criterion's going to do. I understand that. I respect that, but if you were to buy this movie right now at its full price from the Criterion's website, it's going to cost you $52 with shipping and handling and taxes, and that's a lot of money for a movie that if you already own on Blu-ray and you're only getting a visual upgrade, it's a tough pill to swallow. So those visuals better be damn good, right? Well, they are really good. I would say that these visuals are like 8 to 9 out of 10 quality. The thing is that Blu-ray that was previously released is really good, and they're just using that same 4K scan that was improved by Michael Mann back in the day for this brand new 4K Blu-ray. They're just putting Dolby Vision and HDR10 over it, you know, kind of cleaning it up a little bit. So it does kind of feel like a little bit of a cash grab because that previously released Blu-ray is so good. Like, that's like an 8.5 out of 10 Blu-ray out there as far as quality goes. Yes, this is an upgrade as far as the 4K Blu-ray goes. It looks absolutely beautiful. They cleaned up so much stuff. It still does feel like Thief, which is something I'm assuming they were trying to keep. You know, it still has all that film grain that you remember. It feels like an early 1980s film. We do not lose any of that, which is all we could really ask for if you're a fan of this film, is that we don't lose any bit of those kind of elements that we know about Thief. It doesn't feel like something that's been DNR'd, too cleaned out to make it look like a film that didn't come out in the early 1980s. No, I think actually Criterion did a fantastic job, and that's a lot of that reason is because it was already done 10 years ago to Michael Mann's liking. So if you like that previously released Blu-ray, this is just a more toned up version of that previously released Blu-ray now on 4K Blu-ray. And I would recommend this more to people who don't have Thief on Blu-ray and they're just looking for Thief for the first time. I would say if you're going to buy this for the first time, you've never seen Thief, this is definitely the route to go. Now, if you do own Thief on Blu-ray from the Criterion Collection, it's really going to come down to how do you feel about the film, because overall, this is not one of the best releases from the Criterion Collection, just because, again, they don't give you too much. I can't give this a really high score just because we get a brand new 4K Blu-ray here. You know, that's a little bit... It would have to be a little bit cheaper for me to justify that. I appreciate that they finally upgraded one of my favorite Michael Mann films, a film I knew would look great on 4K Blu-ray, and it absolutely does look really good on 4K Blu-ray. It's just hard to justify that upgrade when the only upgrade you're going to be getting is to the visuals. This is something I would recommend to people if you're a fan of Thief and you're looking at an upgrade. Wait for a Criterion 50% off sale. Do not buy this at full price, because honestly, you're going to be a little bit disappointed like I was. As much as I love the movie Thief, and as much as I love to have this on 4K Blu-ray, I already have it, so it's no problem for me to get rid of that Thief on Blu-ray. But hindsight is 2020. If I'd known that, you know, this is really the only kind of minor upgrade that we were getting, I might have waited, even though I know I probably would have got FOMO and wanted Thief on 4K Blu-ray the day it came out like I did. It's just that, it's really hard to justify that high of a price tag when you already own the Blu-ray, and the 4K Blu-ray is just only a minor upgrade to the visuals. So it's a little bit of a tough pill to swallow, but overall, it's still a good 4K Blu-ray. It's still the best that Thief has ever looked, and if I was going to give this Criterion 4K Blu-ray a score of 1 to 10, I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10, just because I feel like Criterion took the lazy route and didn't upgrade enough here, and with the amount that they're charging for this, it's a little bit ridiculous to ask that. Only people who don't own this movie at all, I can highly recommend it, because Thief is something you should own, and the best way to have the film is on 4K Blu-ray. But I can also just recommend Thief altogether, so if you don't even want to pick this up on Blu-ray or 4K Blu-ray, just find any way to check out the film Thief, because it is truly one of Michael Mann's best films. And guys, it's also Tuesday. That means it's time for our digital code giveaway. In every single video that we do here on Friday, I ask you guys 2 digital code giveaway questions. All you have to do is answer one of those in the comment section. As long as you did that, you came back to this video right here where I put your name on a magic wheel, spun that bad boy 2 times. The 2 names it lands on, they have their choice. The digital codes that you've seen on your screen before you today. And without further ado, let's spin this magic wheel and see who our lucky winners are. Alright, congratulations to Brian and Mr. Smelly Potato. Brian's won numerous times in the past, long-time subscriber to the channel, so you know how this works. Same thing with Mr. Smelly Potato. He is our channel bankroll member. Big shot here over on Let's Talk Entertainment and Media. Mr. Smelly Potato, you know how this works too. So you guys just reach out to me on my email address, letstalkentmt@gmail.com, or Facebook, Instagram, the artist formerly known as Twitter. Let me know which of those digital codes you want, and as long as the other winner doesn't take it, that digital code is all yours. And guys, we also do have channel membership, so if you want to become a friend of the channel, a producer for the channel like John Doe Juggalo, or a channel director like Uncle V, Kevin Kruger, and of course Nicholas Head, our newest channel director. Nicholas, you have to reach out to me and let me know which movie you want me to review for the month of March. You are a channel director, so you have your choice movie review each and every single month, so let me know. We also have our bankroll members, Frank from Frank's Media and Reviews, and of course, the legendary Mr. Smelly Potato. And if you are a producer or hire, every single month we like to do a channel members giveaway, so it'll be on the first Tuesday in April. That's right around my birthday. It might actually be April 1st, 2025. That'll be our channel members physical media giveaway, where it's mostly 4K Blu-rays. And this month, I have added Nosferatu on 4K Blu-ray. I picked up Pulp Fiction. This is sealed on 4K Blu-ray. Color Out of Space. The Ring. Now, this is a Blu-ray, but a Blu-ray Steelbook. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. The Lost Boys. The Car. And, of course, 2012. So as long as you're a producer or hire, I will put your name on a magic wheel at the beginning of April. We'll spin that bad boy, and you'll have your choice of one of those physical media releases. But as always, guys, if you got no money to throw away, don't you worry about it all. We just hope you enjoyed this video. And if you did, get out in those streets, tell your friends about us, and then we'll be seeing you around.